Welcome to our PowerPoint entitled The New USG Core and Advising Students Transferring to North Georgia College and State University. This overview will provide you with general information about the USG's new core curriculum and helpful advice about advising students who are transferring to North Georgia College. In 2009, the Board of Regents approved a revision of the core curriculum to allow for greater flexibility in aligning students' general education experiences with individual institution missions and strategic plans, and to document institutional learning outcomes in all areas of the core. The revised policy provides minimum requirements in each core area and requires all institutions to develop and assess at least one student learning outcome for each of areas A through E. It also includes additional learning goals for global perspectives, U.S. perspectives, and critical thinking, and now includes ethics as part of the array of courses that may be offered under the humanities and fine arts area. The total number of semester credit hours required, 42, remains the same. The new core also enhances the USG's transfer guarantee of core courses, with the exception of students who change from non-science to science majors. Four-year institutions implemented the new core fall 2011. Gainesville State, along with all two-year institutions, will implement the new core fall of 2012. Area A1, Communication Skills, consists of English 1101 and English 1102. Area A2, Quantitative Skills, consists of a math course requirement. Area A1 and A2 courses are the same at both Gainesville State and North Georgia. However, there are some new rules affecting all USG institutions. For freshmen entering the USG system fall of 2011, students who have earned 45 hours but who have not completed Area A1 and/or Area A2 must enroll in the next course necessary to make progress towards completing those areas in every semester in which they take classes. Effective fall of 2012, the hour limit is lowered to 30 hours for freshmen entering the USG system fall of 2012 and thereafter. For students with learning support requirements, taking the appropriate learning support courses counts as making progress toward completing these areas. The new core is designed to make transfer between institutions easier for students. A student who successfully completes a course in one institution's area A through E will receive full credit in areas A through E for the course upon transfer to another USG institution, even if the area has not been completed. The only requirements are that the student does not change from a non-science to science major, and the course is within the area hours limitations of either the sending institution or the receiving institution. This means that if a student takes 12 credit hours at the sending institution and the receiving institution only requires 9 credit hours to complete the area, then the receiving institution must accept and apply the extra credit hours. This is called cross-area transfer credit. However, if the sending institution requires 9 credit hours to complete an area, but the student completes 12 hours in that area, and the receiving institution also requires 9 credit hours, the receiving institution does not have to accept the extra 3 credit hours. The next slide will provide you with a more detailed example. This chart illustrates an example of cross-area transfer credit. First, notice the blue arrows going from Decatur State areas C and D to Winder State area D. A student transferring from Decatur State to Winder State, having completed the Decatur State core, must be given credit in Area D, Natural Science, at Winder State for the 3 excess hours of work done in Area C, Humanities, Fine Arts, and Ethics, at Decatur State. Now look at the red arrows. If a student took 12 hours in Area E, Social Science, at Decatur State, which would be 3 hours more than the required 9 hours, only 9 of those hours would transfer to Winder State, but all 12 hours would transfer to Moultrie State. When advising transfer students, advisors should be aware of the area hours limitations at both the sending and receiving institutions. North Georgia will accept transfer credit from a sending institution that requires more credit hours than North Georgia requires in a specific core area if the extra credit hours do not exceed the required hours for either the sending institution or North Georgia. North Georgia may use cross-area transfer credit to apply the extra hours to a different area of their core curriculum. However, as previously discussed, if the student from the sending institution earns more hours than necessary in a specific core area, North Georgia does not have to accept the credit if they do not require the additional hours in their own core area. Transfer students who complete areas A through E at any USG institution will satisfy areas A through E at North Georgia. The exception to that policy involves students changing from non-science to science majors. With no major change, the Area F requirements from any USG institution will also be applied to the Area F requirements at North Georgia. It is important to note that courses transferring into North Georgia are considered on the basis of course count rather than credit hours. What this means is that if a student brings in enough courses from the sending institution to satisfy the number of courses required in a specific core area at North Georgia, then North Georgia will accept and apply those courses to fulfill the area. A few conditions must be met. Within the area to include the transfer course, the total credit hours are equal to or above the USG minimum. Within the area to include the transfer course, the total credit hours are less than 3 credit hours below North Georgia's requirements. Within the area to include the transfer course, the total credit hours are not higher than the maximum accepted by the sending school or North Georgia. As previously noted, the new core curriculum requires all USG institutions to fulfill 3 learning goals: U.S. perspectives, global perspectives, and critical thinking. Courses listed under each goal are used to satisfy the requirements. North Georgia also has learning outcomes for each core area that will be assessed through courses listed in that area. One important advising note is that at North Georgia, only one course, History 2111 or History 2112 or Political Science 1101, is needed to satisfy all legislative requirements. We have already discussed that areas A1 and A2 are the same at both Gainesville State and North Georgia. Area B, however, differs. The learning outcome of Area B at North Georgia is knowledge about and understanding of global perspectives. Students are required to complete 2 Area B courses, Political Science 2401, Global Issues, and a 1002 level language course. Any 1002 level language course from Gainesville, even though only 3 credit hours, will satisfy this requirement in North Georgia because they are considering course count and not course credit. A Bachelor of Arts degree from North Georgia requires a 2000 level language, so taking a 1002 level language is important. The required Communications 1100 in Area B at Gainesville will transfer to North Georgia and can be used in Area C. Since North Georgia requires 7 total credit hours in Area B, Gainesville students should be advised to take a minimum of 5 hours in Area B if transferring. This is to ensure that the 2 Area B courses taken at Gainesville are less than 3 credit hours below North Georgia's requirement of 7 credit hours. Remember, even though North Georgia considers course count and not course credit, the total credit hours for courses transferring in must be less than 3 credit hours below North Georgia's requirements. The learning outcome for Area C at North Georgia is the ability to analyze forms of expression that reflect individual, social, or cultural values. Students must take 1 2000 level literature course from the approved list and 1 elective. Communications 1100, Public Speaking, is listed as an Area C elective at North Georgia. Remember, under the new core rules, any Area C course taken at Gainesville will transfer to North Georgia Area C as long as the total credit hours do not exceed the hours required at either the sending or receiving institution. The learning outcome for Area D at North Georgia is the ability to gather, analyze, and present data and apply results. All students are required to take 2 lab-based science courses, 8 credit hours, along with a math or computer science elective. If a student at North Georgia elects to take a calculus class worth 4 credit hours, making the credit hour total for the area 12, the extra hour will be counted elsewhere in the student's program of study. At Gainesville State, students may elect to fulfill the Area D elective with a math, computer science, or additional lab-based science course. If the additional lab-based science is chosen, North Georgia will accept the course and use the extra hour elsewhere in the student's program of study. The learning outcome for Area E at North Georgia is the ability to describe human behavior as a function of the commonality or diversity within or between groups. Students are required to complete History 1112, Survey of World Civilization 2. At Gainesville, students can choose to take History 1112 in Area E, and it will fulfill the U.S. and Georgia legislative history requirement here while fulfilling the required Area E class at North Georgia. To fulfill the U.S. and Georgia legislative constitution requirement at Gainesville, students must complete Political Science 1101, so good advisement for students transferring to North Georgia would be to recommend completion of History 1112 and Political Science 1101. At Gainesville State, 12 semester hours are required for completion of Area E. It is important to note that if students complete all 12 hours in Area E at Gainesville, under the new core, North Georgia must accept the extra hours and apply them elsewhere in the core by using cross-area transfer credit. That concludes our overview. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the new USG core and how transferability will work between Gainesville State and North Georgia. For additional information, please contact the Academic Advising Center.